Hello everyone. This video actually is going to be kind of a follow-up to the other two that I posted. I found two videos out there that go through the visualization tools and some of the descriptive tools in JASP. I would recommend, I hope that you've watched them, I guess, put it this way, because there's some good stuff in there, very useful, things like frequency tables and splitting of data sets and stuff like that, all done in those videos. The reason why I'm making this video is because the version of JASP that both of the previous videos used is old, and our version of JASP is much newer. And I'm going to go through real quick what the differences, the primary differences are. I'm not going to go through every little detail, but I pulled up the only descriptive data set that JASP provides. So we can go ahead and bring that up. And it's, as you can see, that it's got one scale continuous variable. It's got one nominal variable, which is basically three groups, and it's got the ordinal variable, where the ID is categorical variable, but its order matters. So we've already seen in previous videos that you can go into statistics and you can set things up like your mode, your median. You can split out quartiles. You can do tests for skewness and kurtosis. The Shapiro-Wilk test, the test for normal distribution, is here as well. We didn't do that when we looked at it earlier, but we've done it several times as we've looked at these other tools. So I won't go through too much here, but I am going to go into the plots. What you saw in the two videos is that there was one tab for plots, and they've added more and split us all out. So, or split them all out. So you've got now two tabs. One is basic plots, and that is your distribution plot or your histogram, depending on, as you saw in the first video, whether or not your x-axis, your horizontal axis, is really using qualitative or quantitative data. When we're doing a normal distribution, we're always using quantitative data because that's basically we're seeing the scatter around the mean, and that would be a good way of testing if we've got a normal distribution. We can also use the Shapiro-Wilk test. Correlation plots is just basically plotting one against another so that we can see one variable against another so that we can see what that looks like. There are pie charts, other charts here. I would recommend not using pie charts because they're not very useful, but they could potentially be useful for this week's assignment if you find some way to do that. The other plots have all been crammed down here in this customizable plots. And we still have the color palette. You saw that in one of the videos. We have box plots, which is plots where you can plot out one variable and see what it looks like. This is also a really great way of being able to see if you have any outliers in your data, which is part of your assignment for this week. You can use the violet element, the jitter element. You can use a color palette. You can label your outliers. All that is available in box plots. And then you have scatter plots. Remember, you can't do scatter plots unless you select two variables that are both scale, both continuous variables. And when you do that, you will look at one versus another. You'll be able to look at how they compare. There's a vertical axis and a horizontal axis, and you'll be able to see how they plot out. And then you can put a graph both to the right and both above the scatter plot that shows kind of the distribution of that particular variable. And you can see whether it's a normal distribution or not. I'm not going to go into heat maps because that's kind of beyond the scope of this class, but heat maps, if you're interested, you can look up a YouTube video. Heat maps can be really cool because basically what they show you is they show you two variables compared to each other, and then they show you the intensity of the variable based on the color. That's why it's essentially, they call it a heat map. I mean, the more intense, the brighter the color. So anyway, that's just real quick what I wanted to show you. In the previous, like I said, in the previous two videos that I posted, they have used an old version, and that is what has been changed since the new version has come out. Again, your assignment is to take a look at the file that is posted in the resources section of Module 8 and do some plots. First of all, do three plots that contain the outliers. I've buried outliers in all three of the variables. Do three plots that show those outliers. That could be box plots, or it could be something else that would. You could even do a scatter plot of one over the other. It wouldn't make a lot of sense to do that, but it might be a way to show your outliers. Then remove those outliers by calculating the average of all of the other data points minus the outliers, and placing the average in place of the outliers, and then redo your visuals, and then just come up with 3 interesting visuals, something that would tell the story of the data. Okay, if you have any questions, contact your instructor.